All right, let's talk about Batch Apex and Salesforce. We're going to demystify one of its most powerful tools for handling just massive amounts of data. I mean, if you've ever stared at a screen with thousands or even millions of records that need an update, you know that feeling, right? Well, stick with me because we're about to unpack the solution.
So, let's kick things off with a question I'm sure every Salesforce dev has asked themselves at some point. You've got this huge task, maybe thousands, maybe millions of records to process. How in the world do you do that without running headfirst into Salesforce's governor limits? You know, those rules that are designed to keep things running smoothly but can feel like a real roadblock. And the answer, my friends, is Batch Apex. It's actually a pretty simple idea when you break it down. Imagine you have to move a mountain of boxes. You're not going to try to carry them all at once, right? No way. You'd break it down into smaller, easy-to-carry stacks. That's exactly what Batch Apex does with your data. It processes everything in these small, manageable chunks that Salesforce can handle without breaking a sweat.
So, here's what we've got on tap. We're going to start with the what and why of Batch Apex. Then we'll walk through its entire life cycle, step by step. After that, we'll get our hands dirty and look at some actual code. We'll also cover how to keep an eye on your jobs, and then we'll wrap it all up with the key things you absolutely need to remember.
Okay, first things first, let's get into the big picture. What is Batch Apex really, and what's the core problem it's built to solve?
It all starts with your Apex code. See, the key here is implementing something called the database.batchable interface in your class. Think of it like telling Salesforce, hey, pay attention to this class. It's not a regular one. It's designed to run as a special batch job. It's that simple.
Okay, so you've got your special class ready to go. Now what? Let's trace the entire journey, the full execution lifecycle. What happens behind the scenes from the moment you say, go?
And here it is, the whole process laid out. It's a really logical step-by-step flow. First, you create your job and pop it into the queue. Then the start method kicks in. Its only job is to go out and collect all the records you want to process. Once it has that big list, the system automatically chops it up into smaller batches. Then comes the workhorse, the execute method. It runs over and over once for each little batch. And after every single batch is done, the finish method gets called to do any final cleanup or send out notifications. Start, execute, finish. Simple as that.
Now, you might be wondering, how big are these batches? Well, here's a number to remember, 200. By default, Salesforce is going to process 200 records at a time. Now, you can change this number. If your logic is super complex, maybe you want a smaller batch size. If it's really simple, you might go bigger. But 200 is that default sweet spot.
Okay, enough theory, right? Let's see what this actually looks like in code. We're going to look at those three core methods we just talked about: start, execute, and finish. First up, the start method. Take a look at the code. Its one and only job is to tell Salesforce what data to work on. And it does that with a simple SOQL query. It's basically saying, hey Salesforce, go get me all of these records.
Next up is execute, and this is really the heart of the operation. This is the code that runs for each batch of records. This is where you put your actual business logic, updating a field, creating a related record, whatever it is you need to do. And then, once all those execute runs are complete, finish gets its moment. It runs just once at the very end. It's perfect for things like sending a confirmation email like you see here, or kicking off another process.
So how do we get this whole thing started? It's actually super simple. From somewhere else in your code, maybe a button click or another trigger, you just create an instance of your batch class and hand it over to this one method, database.executeBatch. That's it. That one line of code tells Salesforce, okay, time to get to work.
All right, so you've launched your job. It's off, running in the background, doing its thing. But now what? How do you check on it? Is it stuck? Is it finished? Did something go wrong? You can't just leave it running in the dark. Well, thankfully, Salesforce has us covered. There's a special object called Async Apex Job that acts like a mission control for all of your background jobs, including Batch Apex. Every time you run a job, a record gets created here. And because it's just a regular Salesforce object, you know what that means. You can query it with SOQL. A super simple query, just like the one on screen, can tell you everything you need to know: the job's ID, its status, and, this is the cool part, how many items it's already processed. So with just that one query, you basically get a live dashboard. You can see if a job is waiting in the queue, if it's actively processing, or if it's completed successfully. You can track its progress in real time, and, importantly, if something's gone wrong or you need to stop it, you can even abort the job.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground here, so let's boil it all down. What are the absolute key things you need to walk away with? Okay, here are the 5 big takeaways. 1. Batch Apex is your best friend for handling huge data sets without hitting governor limits. 2. It's all about that 3-step dance: start, execute, and finish. 3. To kick it off, you use database.execute batch. 4. You can keep an eye on everything by querying the async Apex job object. And 5. Don't forget that default batch size is 200 records. Got it? Good.
So now you've got the toolkit. The fundamentals are there. You can think about all the possibilities: nightly data cleanups, huge data migrations, complex calculations across your entire org. The sky's the limit. So I'll leave you with this question. What large-scale process are you going to build with Batch Apex? Thanks so much for tuning in.